Have you ever looked at the vast, silent ruins of ancient cities and wondered, what if we weren't the first? What if, millions of years before humanity even existed, another civilization rose and fell on this very planet? It sounds like science fiction, but some serious scientists have actually considered this. It's called the Silurian Hypothesis, and it asks a mind-bending question. If an industrial civilization existed on Earth millions of years ago, what traces would it have left behind for us to find? Let's get one thing straight. We're not talking about a few million years ago, like the time of the dinosaurs. We're talking deep, deep time. The Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Modern humans have only been around for about 300,000 years, and our industrial civilization is barely 300 years old. That's just a blink of an eye in geological terms. If a civilization existed, say, 60 million years ago, after the dinosaurs, but long before us, would we even know? You might think, of course we would. Where are the fossilized cities? The plastic ruins. But here's the catch. The Earth is an incredibly efficient recycling machine. Tectonic plates shift, continents drift, mountains rise and fall, and erosion grinds everything to dust. Over millions of years, almost everything a civilization built on the surface would be gone. Think about it. The oldest large-scale surface structure we have is the Sphinx, which is maybe a few thousand years old. Anything millions of years old would have been buried, subducted, or eroded away completely. Fossils are incredibly rare. Only a tiny fraction of all life that ever existed becomes fossilized. For an entire civilization, with its billions of inhabitants, the chances of finding a fossilized individual are slim to none, let alone their tools or buildings. So, if we can't find their cities or their bones, where do we look? The answer isn't in what they left behind, but in the scars they might have carved into the planet itself. This is where the Silurian hypothesis gets really interesting. It suggests we should look for geological anomalies or fingerprints in the rock record. An industrial civilization, much like our own, would have a massive impact on the planet's chemistry. Think about our own era, the Anthropocene. What are we doing? We're burning fossil fuels on a massive scale. This releases huge amounts of carbon into the atmosphere, changing the climate. So, scientists look for sudden spikes of carbon in ancient sediment layers. An event like this is called a hyperthermal, a period of rapid global warming. We know of several such events in Earth's history, like the Paleocene thermal maximum, or PTM, about 56 million years ago. During the PTM, global temperatures shot up by 5 to 8 degrees Celsius. The cause is a mystery, but it involved a massive release of carbon into the atmosphere. Could a pre-human industrial civilization have been the trigger? It's a tantalizing thought, but a carbon spike alone isn't enough proof. We need more. What else does our civilization produce? Plastic. Our technofossils. Over millions of years, plastics might break down into microscopic particles, but some of their complex molecules could potentially survive, leaving a strange chemical signature in the rock. Similarly, an ancient civilization might have created their own unique synthetic materials. If we could find a layer of sediment filled with unusual, complex organic molecules that don't occur naturally, that would be a huge red flag. And what about nuclear energy? If a past civilization used nuclear power, or heaven forbid, had a nuclear war, it could leave behind traces of unusual isotopes, like plutonium-244. These isotopes have very long half-lives, so they could still be detectable millions of years later. Finding a concentrated layer of such isotopes in ancient rock would be a smoking gun. It would be almost undeniable proof of advanced technology. Another footprint would be mass extinction. Our industrial activity is causing the sixth mass extinction event in Earth's history. We're changing habitats, polluting ecosystems, and driving species to extinction at an alarming rate. If a previous civilization was similarly disruptive, we should see a corresponding mass extinction event in the fossil record. And guess what? The PTM, that big warming event 56 million years ago, was associated with a major extinction event in the deep oceans. Coincidence? Maybe. So let's play detective. Imagine we find a 60-million-year-old rock layer. In that single, thin layer, we find a massive carbon spike, a spike in ocean acidity, strange synthetic molecules that look like ancient microplastics, unusual radioactive isotopes, and the fossils of a mass extinction event. If you find all of those things together in one neat slice of geological time, the case for a lost civilization becomes incredibly compelling. It would be hard to explain it all away as a series of unrelated natural events. But here's the reality check. So far, we haven't found that perfect storm of evidence. The PTM, for example, while dramatic, seems to have unfolded over thousands of years, which is slower than our current human-induced climate change. This suggests a more natural, prolonged geological process, like massive volcanic eruptions, rather than a sudden industrial boom. And we haven't found any layers of weird, synthetic paleoplastics or plutonium spikes. This doesn't mean the Silurian hypothesis is wrong, just that the evidence isn't there yet. We've only just begun to look for these specific kinds of fingerprints. It requires a new way of thinking about geology and paleontology. We're no longer just looking for bones. We're looking for the chemical ghosts of industry. But let's just imagine for a second that they did exist. Who were they? Were they intelligent dinosaurs, evolving in the warm Cenozoic era after the big asteroid? Maybe they were a species of mammal that got a 60-million-year head start on us. Or perhaps something completely different, a life form we can't even imagine. What happened to them? Did they leave Earth for the stars? Or did they succumb to the very planetary changes they created, a warning echoing through deep time for us? The failure to manage their planet could have been their undoing. Perhaps they burned through their resources, polluted their atmosphere, and triggered a runaway greenhouse effect that made the planet uninhabitable for them. In this sense, the absence of evidence might be the evidence itself. Their story would be a cautionary tale, written in the rock for us to read. It tells us that a planet's hospitality is not a given, and that intelligence doesn't guarantee survival. Ultimately, the Silurian hypothesis is more than just a cool sci-fi idea. It's a profound thought experiment that reframes our place in the universe. It forces us to consider the long-term impact of our own civilization. The geological record we are creating right now, with our carbon emissions, plastics, and radioactive materials, will be our legacy. Millions of years from now, if a new intelligent species arises on Earth, will they dig into the rock and find the Anthropocene layer? Will they piece together the story of our brief, bright, and perhaps self-destructive moment on this planet? Thinking about a possible lost civilization isn't about proving aliens walk the Earth. It's about holding up a mirror to ourselves from the perspective of deep time. It reminds us that we are temporary custodians of this planet, and that our choices today will be etched into the Earth's crust for eons to come. It's a humbling and, frankly, a slightly terrifying thought. What do you think? Is it possible that we're not the first? And what kind of geological signature are we leaving for the future? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into deep time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the great unknowns. See you next time.